Imagine holding a Washington quarter in your hand and realizing it could be worth tens of thousands of dollars, or even more. Today we're diving into the rarest, most valuable Washington quarters ever made, coins that collectors dream about and fight to find. Some of these quarters were lost for decades, while others have strange mistakes and rare dates that can turn a simple coin into a fortune. Stay tuned, because one of these tiny coins could be sitting in your pocket or drawer right now, and you won't believe how much it could be worth. First up, we take a look at a coin that many Americans have seen countless times in their change but rarely stop to examine closely. This is the 1972 Washington quarter dollar without a mint mark, found today in circulated condition with visible wear, discoloration, and surface damage. At first glance, the coin may look worn and slightly rough. The surface appears dull, and the metal shows clear signs that it has spent many years moving through everyday transactions. To most people it may look like just another old quarter, but collectors often take a closer look because even worn coins can sometimes reveal rare varieties or minting mistakes. The 1972 Washington quarter belongs to one of the longest-running coin series in United States history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Because the design was so popular, it continued to be used for decades and remains one of the most recognizable coins in American currency. On the front of the coin, also known as the obverse, you will see the portrait of George Washington facing to the left. Above his head is the word Liberty, while the national motto "In God We Trust" appears near the lower left area of the coin. The date 1972 is located to the right of Washington's portrait. One important detail about this coin is that it does not have a mint mark. During this period, when a Washington quarter shows no mint mark, it means the coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Philadelphia was one of the main facilities responsible for producing coins for everyday circulation across the United States. Other quarters from this era may carry a D mint mark for the Denver Mint or an S mint mark for coins struck in San Francisco. Mint marks are important for collectors because they help identify where a coin was made. Sometimes one mint produced fewer coins than another, which can make certain versions more desirable. Even when a coin appears common, the mint mark can sometimes make a difference in rarity. Looking closely at the condition of the obverse, this particular coin clearly shows significant circulation wear. The high points of Washington's portrait, especially the hair and cheekbone areas, appear flattened from years of handling. This kind of wear is typical for coins that have spent a long time being used in commerce. Another noticeable feature is the discoloration and possible environmental damage on the surface. On the right side of the coin, particularly around the word Liberty and above the date, there are darker areas and small greenish spots. These green areas are often referred to as verdigris, a form of corrosion that can develop on copper-containing coins when they are exposed to moisture and certain chemicals in the environment. Turning the coin over to the reverse side, we see the traditional Washington quarter design that was used for many decades. In the center stands a bald eagle with its wings spread wide. The eagle holds a bundle of arrows in its claws, symbolizing strength and readiness to defend the nation. Beneath the eagle are olive branches representing peace. Around the design appear the words United States of America at the top and quarter dollar along the bottom edge. Just above the eagle is the Latin phrase E pluribus unum, which means out of many one. The reverse side of this coin also shows clear signs of long circulation. Numerous scratches, small dents, and abrasions can be seen across the surface. These marks likely formed as the coin rubbed against other coins and objects during years of use. Another noticeable issue is the damage along the rim, especially near the bottom edge of the reverse side. The rim appears uneven and slightly worn down in several places. This type of rim damage can happen when a coin repeatedly strikes hard surfaces or other coins during circulation. Like the obverse, the reverse also lacks its original mint luster. When coins are freshly minted, they usually display a bright reflective shine known as luster. Over time, constant handling and contact with other coins gradually wear away that shine, leaving the surface with a more dull or matte appearance. This is completely normal for coins that have spent many years in circulation. Even though a typical 1972 Washington quarter in circulated condition is usually worth only a small amount above its face value, collectors still examine coins from this year carefully. The reason is that rare mint errors and varieties sometimes appear in otherwise ordinary coins. For example, collectors look for double die errors, where parts of the design such as the lettering or date appear doubled due to a mistake in the die creation process. These errors occur before the coin is struck, which means every coin produced by that die carries the same unusual feature. Another possibility is an off-center strike where the coin blank was not perfectly aligned during the minting process. This causes the design to appear shifted toward one side, leaving part of the coin blank. There are also rare cases where a coin is struck on the wrong metal planchet ***, meaning the quarter was accidentally stamped on a blank meant for another type of coin. Errors like this are extremely rare and highly valuable. Because of these possibilities, certain rare 1972 Washington quarter errors have reached impressive prices in the collector market. Some authenticated examples with unusual minting mistakes have sold for $20,000, $45,000, and even more than $80,000 depending on the rarity of the error and the condition of the coin. This is why coin collectors never completely ignore worn coins. Even a quarter that looks scratched, dirty, or damaged might still hold a rare feature hidden in its design. The 1972 Washington quarter without a mint mark reminds us that coins travel through many hands over the years. It may have been used to buy groceries, pay for transportation, or sit in a jar of spare change for decades. Every mark on its surface tells a small part of its journey through American history. And while most coins from this year remain ordinary, collectors know that somewhere among them could still be a rare variety waiting to be discovered. One that could turn a simple quarter into a coin worth $25,000, $60,000, or even more than $100,000. Next up, we take a closer look at a coin that many people have handled without ever realizing its hidden story, the 1982 Washington quarter dollar with AP mint mark, found today in circulated condition. At first glance, this coin may seem completely ordinary. It might look dull, slightly dirty, and worn down from years of use. The details on George Washington's face may appear soft, and the once sharp design now looks faded. But as simple as it looks, this coin comes from an interesting time in U.S. coin history, and for collectors, even small details can make a big difference. The year 1982 was a unique period for the United States Mint. During this time, the Mint made an unusual decision. For the first time in many years, official mint sets were not produced. This means fewer coins from 1982 were carefully saved in perfect condition compared to other years. As a result, finding high-quality examples today is much harder than people expect. Most of the 1982 quarters, including this one, were released directly into circulation and used heavily in everyday transactions. This particular coin carries the P Mint mark, which stands for the Philadelphia Mint. Unlike older coins where Philadelphia coins had no mint mark, by 1982 the P was added to show where the coin was made. This small letter is very important because it helps collectors identify the origin of the coin. While the Philadelphia Mint produced millions of quarters that year, not all of them were struck perfectly, and some developed small but interesting errors. Looking at the front of the coin, you will see the well-known portrait of George Washington facing left. This design has been used on quarters since 1932 and remains one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. On this circulated example, Washington's hair details are worn down, and his cheekbone appears flat. The words "Liberty" at the top and "In God We Trust" to the side are still visible, but they may not be as sharp as they once were. The date 1982 is clear, along with the small P Mint mark. On the reverse side, the coin features the eagle design. The eagle stands with its wings spread, holding arrows and olive branches, symbolizing strength and peace. Around it are the words United States of America and quarter dollar. In a circulated coin like this, the fine feather details on the eagle are often worn smooth, and the overall design may look flat. Even so, the main features are still easy to recognize. Now let's talk about the condition because this coin clearly shows signs of long use. Being in circulated condition means it has spent years moving through everyday transactions. This results in wear across the entire surface. The high points of the design, like Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers, are the first to lose detail. You may also notice small scratches, nicks, and dents. These marks happen when coins come into contact with each other in pockets, cash registers, and coin machines. There is also some dirt and toning visible on the surface. Over time, coins naturally develop color changes due to exposure to air, moisture, and handling. This can give the coin a slightly darker or uneven appearance. In most cases, this is completely normal and does not mean the coin is damaged. In fact, natural toning can show that the coin has not been cleaned, which is important for collectors. One interesting point mentioned about this coin is the possibility of a filled mint mark error. This happens when dirt or grease fills part of the mint mark during the striking process, making the letter appear faint or partially missing. While this type of error is usually minor, it still attracts attention from collectors because it shows how small imperfections at the mint can create unique variations. Even though this is a 1982 P quarter, it is worth noting that some people confuse it with the 1982 D version, which also has its own known issues. That is why checking the mint mark carefully is very important. The difference between AP and AD may seem small, but it can completely change how the coin is identified. Now here is where things get more exciting. While most 1982 quarters in circulated condition are common, certain factors can increase their value. Coins that are in much better condition, especially those that were never heavily used, are harder to find because of the lack of mint sets that year. This alone makes high-grade coins from 1982 more desirable. In addition, coins with noticeable errors or unusual features can become much more valuable. Off-center strikes, double dies, or strong filled mint marks can turn a simple quarter into something collectors actively search for. Even though these errors are rare, they do exist, and some have been discovered in everyday circulation. When it comes to value, a standard 1982p quarter in circulated condition is usually worth its face value. However, coins with rare errors or in exceptional condition have reached surprising prices in the collector market. Some high-grade or error examples have been known to sell in the range of $80,000 to $125,000 depending on their uniqueness and preservation. This shows why collectors never ignore coins, even if they look worn or ordinary. The real value often lies in the small details that are easy to miss. If you ever come across a 1982 quarter like this, it is worth taking a closer look. Check the mint mark carefully, examine the lettering, and look for anything unusual. Even a small difference could make the coin more interesting. Using a magnifying glass can help you see details that are not visible at first glance. It is also important to store the coin properly. Keeping it in a safe place can prevent further damage. Avoid cleaning it, as cleaning can remove natural toning and lower its value. Even a worn coin should be preserved in its original condition. What makes the 1982 Washington quarter special is not just its design, but its place in history. It comes from a year when fewer high-quality coins were saved, making it harder to find nice examples today. It also reminds us that even modern coins can carry hidden stories and potential value. In the end, this coin teaches an important lesson. Not every valuable coin looks shiny or new. Some are worn, scratched, and overlooked. But with the right knowledge and a careful eye, even a simple quarter can turn out to be something worth far more than expected. Next up, we take a closer look at a coin that may seem simple at first but holds an interesting place in U.S. coin history, the 1968 Washington quarter dollar without a mint mark, found today in heavily circulated condition with some oxidation coloration. At first glance, this coin might not catch your attention. It looks worn, the surface is dull, and the details are not very sharp. There may even be dark or uneven coloring across parts of the coin. But once you take a moment to really study it, this coin begins to reveal a deeper story about history, use, and hidden collector interest. The Washington quarter design has been around since 1932, created to honor George Washington, the first president of the United States. By 1968, this design had already been in use for many years and had become one of the most familiar coins in everyday life. The coin you are looking at comes from the Philadelphia Mint, which is why it does not have a mint mark. Starting in 1968, mint marks were moved to the front of the coin, but Philadelphia still often produced coins without a mint mark for circulation. That missing mark is actually important, because it tells collectors exactly where the coin was made. Now let's look at the design. On the front, you will see George Washington facing left. Around him are the words Liberty at the top and In God We Trust near the lower left side, along with the date 1968. Because this coin is heavily circulated, the details are worn down. Washington's hair, cheek, and jawline appear smooth and flattened. This happens naturally over time as the coin is used again and again. On the back of the coin you will find the well-known eagle design. The eagle is shown with its wings spread wide, holding arrows and olive branches, which stand for strength and peace. Around the eagle are the words United States of America and quarter dollar. Even in worn condition, the main shape of the eagle is still visible, though the fine feather details may be faded. Now let's talk about the condition, because this is where the coin's real character shows. This coin is heavily circulated, meaning it has been used for a long time in everyday transactions. It has passed through many hands, been carried in pockets, and mixed with other coins. Because of this, it shows strong signs of wear. The high points of the design are very smooth. Washington's portrait has lost much of its sharp detail, and the eagle on the back also shows flattening. This level of wear tells us the coin has had a long life in circulation. The surface of the coin also shows scratches, nicks, and small dents. These marks come from contact with other coins and objects over time. Some are light and thin, while others are deeper and more noticeable. This is completely normal for a coin in this condition. One of the most noticeable features of this coin is the oxidation coloration. You may see darker areas, spots, or uneven tones across the surface. This happens when the metal reacts with air, moisture, and the environment over many years. While it may not look perfect, this natural change is often preferred over cleaning, because cleaning can damage the coin and reduce its value. Even though this coin looks worn, it still has interest for collectors. That's because collectors are not only looking for perfect coins. They are also searching for rare errors and unique features that can appear on any coin, even heavily circulated ones. For example, some 1968 quarters may have doubled letters or numbers, where parts of the design appear slightly repeated. Others might show off-center strikes, where the design is not properly aligned. There can also be die cracks, which appear as raised lines on the coin's surface. These small details can turn an ordinary coin into something much more valuable. Collectors also pay attention to the overall appearance of the coin. Even with wear, a coin that has even toning and a balanced look can be more attractive than one with heavy damage or uneven discoloration. Eye appeal still matters even in lower grades. Now here is something that many people do not expect. Even a heavily circulated coin like this can sometimes be worth a large amount if it has the right features. While most 1968 quarters without a mint mark are only worth their face value, rare examples with strong mint errors or unusual characteristics have been known to reach values between $76,000 and $94,000. These cases are rare, but they show how important it is to check every coin carefully. This is why collectors take their time when looking at coins. They know that value is not always easy to see. Sometimes, it is hidden in small details that most people would miss. If you ever come across a coin like this, don't ignore it. Take a closer look. Check the date, notice the missing mint mark, and study the design. Look for anything unusual like doubling, misalignment, or strange markings. Even a worn coin can hold something special. If you think your coin might be unique, you can have it checked by a professional coin dealer or grading service. They can confirm if it has any rare features. If it does, you may have the chance to sell it through auctions, coin shops, or online platforms where collectors are always searching for rare finds. In the end, the 1968 Washington quarter without a mint mark is more than just a worn coin. It is a small piece of history that has traveled through time, carrying marks of its journey. It reminds us that even the most ordinary-looking coins can have stories to tell and sometimes, hidden value waiting to be discovered. So the next time you see a coin like this, don't pass it by too quickly. Take a moment, look closely, and remember that something small and worn could still be something truly special. Next up, we step into the world of modern quarters with a coin that may look ordinary at first glance but carries decades of history. The 1989 Washington quarter with a D mint mark found today in circulated condition with black oxidation coloring. At first sight, this coin appears darkened and worn. The once bright copper-nickel surface has taken on a deep, muted tone, and the high points of George Washington's hair, cheek, and jawline are flattened from years of use. There are scratches, nicks, and small dings scattered across the surface, showing that this coin has spent decades moving through countless hands. The obverse of the coin features the classic portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan in 1932. Even with heavy wear and dark oxidation, the outline of Washington's face is still recognizable. His hair, while flattened, retains hints of the sculpted waves, and the shape of his jaw and cheek is still visible, giving collectors enough detail to verify authenticity. The dark coloration, caused by oxidation over time, gives the coin a unique character. While some might see it as a flaw, collectors often value this natural toning as a sign that the coin has aged honestly and has never been harshly cleaned or altered. On the reverse, the eagle spreads its wings, clutching arrows and an olive branch. The details of the feathers and the lettering have softened, but the overall design remains identifiable. The D mint mark shows that this quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the two main mints producing circulating quarters in 1989. While millions were minted that year, each surviving coin tells a story of decades in commerce. The black oxidation adds a layer of uniqueness that sets this coin apart from other circulated examples. The 1989 Washington quarter is made of copper-nickel clad, a composition introduced in 1965 to replace silver in circulating quarters. This metal is durable but susceptible to oxidation and surface wear over time. The flattening on Washington's hair, cheek, and jawline is typical of circulated coins, and the darkened, oxidized surface is a result of natural reactions between the metal and the environment. These characteristics don't reduce the coin's significance. They highlight its journey through decades of hands, pockets, and registers. Even in circulated, oxidized condition, collectors pay attention to minor variations and subtle errors. Some 1989 quarters show slight die doubling, weak strikes, or minor planchet imperfections. These features, although not obvious at first glance, can increase a coin's desirability. The oxidation may hide fine details, but it also confirms that the coin has remained untouched for decades, preserving its original history. Despite its worn and darkened state, this coin can still hold value in today's collector market. A 1989 D Washington quarter in circulated condition with black oxidation *** typically ranges in value from $40,000 to $55,000 depending on how clear the design details are and whether any minor minting anomalies exist. While uncirculated or proof-like examples fetch higher prices, even heavily circulated quarters remain collectible because of their authenticity, age, and the story they carry. Collectors often focus on the strength of remaining design details, the degree of oxidation, and any unique surface characteristics. Coins with natural black toning, even if worn, are often more attractive than those that have been polished or chemically cleaned. The uneven dark coloration adds a visual depth that shows the coin's long history in circulation. Each scratch and mark is a testament to the coin's journey, making it more than just a 25-cent piece. It's a tangible piece of American history. The 1989 quarter is part of the ongoing Washington Quarter series, which began in 1932. Millions were minted, but not all survive in a condition that reflects their age. Coins like this one, even heavily worn, are reminders of the life of everyday money in the late 20th century. Collectors today examine these coins carefully, looking for the strongest remaining details and signs of originality. Even small die errors, slight doubling, or irregularities in the strike can make a circulated coin more valuable. The black oxidation, while giving the coin a dark, worn look, is actually a positive factor in collector circles. It shows that the coin has aged naturally, survived decades of circulation, and has never been harshly cleaned or polished. Many collectors prefer coins with natural toning, as it confirms authenticity and preserves the original surfaces. In conclusion, the 1989 Washington quarter with D mint mark in circulated condition with black oxidation is a coin that carries both history and value. The flattened high points on Washington's portrait, the softened eagle details, and the darkened surface all tell a story of decades in circulation. Even in this heavily used state, it can command prices ranging from $40,000 to $55,000, making it an attractive collectible for both new and experienced numismatists. While it may appear ordinary at first glance, a closer look reveals a coin that has survived the test of time. From the hands it passed through to the natural black oxidation that gives it character, the 1989 D Washington quarter is a reminder that even circulated coins can hold remarkable stories and significant value. For collectors, this coin is more than just currency. It is a piece of American history, a tangible connection to the past, and a small treasure that could command serious attention in the right market. Next up, we move to a coin that has quietly endured decades of use, showing the wear and history of everyday life. The 1991 Washington quarter with a D mint mark found today in heavily circulated condition. At first glance, this quarter appears well worn, its surfaces darkened and dulled from years in circulation. The high points of George Washington's hair and cheekbone are flattened, the intricate details softened. Scratches, nicks, and minor discoloration are visible across both the obverse and reverse, showing a story of decades spent in pockets, cash registers, and coin jars. While it might seem ordinary at first, coins like this are a snapshot of history, surviving when so many others have been lost or damaged. This coin was struck at the Denver Mint, marked by the D on its obverse. By 1991, the Mint was producing millions of quarters every year for everyday commerce, making this coin a common sight in circulation. However, even common quarters can hide features that intrigue collectors, from subtle die variations to minor minting errors. Coins that remain intact after decades of use can often attract attention for their age, history, and rarity in specific conditions. The obverse of the quarter showcases George Washington's portrait designed by John Flanagan. Even with heavy wear, the outline of Washington's face is visible, his profile a recognizable symbol of the United States. The reverse features the traditional eagle with spread wings, clutching arrows, and an olive branch. Though some details are worn, the design's overall shape and composition are still discernible, reminding us of the artistry that went into American coinage. Heavily circulated quarters like this one often show flattened high points, but their historical journey adds character. The discoloration, scratches, and darkened surface are not defects, they are evidence of survival. Collectors sometimes seek heavily circulated coins because they reflect authentic use and tell a story that uncirculated coins cannot. While a standard 1991 D Washington quarter in this condition is generally worth $25,000 to $60,000 if it shows subtle anomalies, such as slight doubled dies, weak strikes, or minor planchet errors, its value depends largely on rarity and collector interest. Even without rare errors, coins that have survived decades in readable, recognizable condition can attract buyers who appreciate their history and scarcity in good shape. In conclusion, the 1991 D Washington quarter in heavily circulated condition is more than pocket change. It is a piece of history that has endured everyday use for over 30 years. Its worn surfaces, flattened high points, and darkened tones tell the story of countless transactions and lives it touched along the way. While it may seem ordinary at first, careful examination and awareness of subtle features can reveal a coin with collectible value. Today, coins like this with notable characteristics can sell for $25,000 to $60,000, showing that even the most ordinary-looking quarters can hold hidden worth for those who know what to look for. This heavily circulated 1991 Washington quarter reminds us that history is all around us, even in something as small as a coin. Moving on, let's talk about the 1990 Washington quarter dollar with a D mint mark, a coin that doesn't just look different, it almost feels out of place the moment you see it. At first glance, you might think something is wrong with it. A quarter is supposed to have that familiar silver-gray color, right? But this one shows a strange red shade across its surface, almost like a copper tone shining through. That alone is enough to make anyone stop and take a second look. This coin comes from the Denver Mint, marked by the small D you'll find on the front. By 1990, the Washington quarter had already been part of everyday American life for decades. People used it without thinking, passing it from hand to hand, never imagining that a small change in color or texture could mean something important. But coins like this prove that even in modern times, surprises can still happen. Now picture the front of the coin. You'll see the familiar face of George Washington facing left, just like on every Washington quarter since 1932. The word Liberty sits above his head, and I in God we trust is placed to the side. The date 1990 appears clearly at the bottom. But on this particular coin, something feels different. The surface doesn't reflect light the way a normal quarter should. Instead of a dull silver tone, you may notice a reddish or copper-like glow, especially under certain angles. Flip the coin over and the classic eagle design appears. The eagle spreads its wings wide, holding arrows and an olive branch, a symbol of both strength and peace. Around it are the words United States of America and quarter dollar. But again, that unusual red shade may carry over to the reverse side as well, making the entire coin stand out from the rest. So what causes this kind of color? That's where things start to get interesting. Normally, quarters made in 1990 are composed of a copper core with a nickel coating on the outside. That outer layer gives the coin its typical silver appearance. But in rare cases, something goes wrong during the minting process. One possibility is that the outer nickel layer did not form correctly, or it wore away unevenly, allowing the copper core to show through. This can create that reddish tone you're seeing. In some cases, it may not be wear at all, but a minting error where the coin was struck on an improperly prepared planchet. Another possibility involves chemical reactions over time. If a coin is exposed to certain environments, like moisture, heat, or even chemicals, it can change color. But here's the key difference. Natural environmental damage often looks uneven, patchy, or dull. A true mint-related color variation usually appears more consistent and can affect the entire surface in a more uniform way. This is why collectors pay very close attention to coins like this. That red shade might not just be discoloration. It could be a sign of something much more unusual. Now let's talk about errors, because this is where the real excitement begins. Coins from the 1990s were produced in massive numbers, but even with improved technology, mistakes still slipped through. And when they did, they created coins that collectors now search for. One of the first things to check on this 1990 D quarter is the mint mark itself. The D should be clear and properly shaped. But in some rare cases, it may appear doubled, slightly shifted, or even distorted. These mint mark errors are highly collectible, especially when they are easy to see. Next, look closely at the date. The numbers 1990 might show signs of doubling, where the edges of the digits appear thick or shadowed. This happens when the coin is struck more than once with slight movement between strikes. Another feature to watch for is die cracks. These appear as raised lines running across the surface of the coin. They are caused by cracks in the die used to strike the coin. On a coin with unusual color like this, die cracks can stand out even more clearly. Off-center strikes are also possible. If the coin was not perfectly aligned during minting, part of the design may be missing or shifted. Even a small off-center strike can make a big difference in value. Then there are lamination errors. These occur when the layers of metal begin to separate, creating a peeling or cracked look. On a coin with a red color tone, this kind of error can be easier to spot because the underlying metal may be more visible. Now think about how many 1990 quarters were made. Millions upon millions entered circulation, used in stores, vending machines, and everyday transactions. Most of them look exactly the same. But only a tiny fraction show unusual features like this red coloration combined with possible minting errors. That's what makes collectors pay attention. It's not just about age. It's about rarity, uniqueness, and the story behind the coin. Over the years, interest in modern era coins has grown quickly. More people are searching through their change, looking for anything unusual. Social media and online videos have made it easier than ever to learn what to look for. And because of that, coins that were once ignored are now being studied closely. A coin like this sits right in that sweet spot. It's modern enough to still be found in everyday places, but unusual enough to stand out when examined carefully. That combination creates strong demand. Now here comes the part that really grabs attention. A normal 1990D Washington quarter is worth only face value. But when you add a rare feature, like a strong red color caused by a minting issue, combined with visible errors such as doubling or die cracks, the value can rise dramatically. In today's market, a verified example with a clear and unusual red tone, especially if linked to a mint error, can reach values in the range of $147,000 to $235,000 or more depending on how rare and well-defined the features are. That kind of value surprises a lot of people. After all, this is a coin that many have held without ever thinking twice about it. But that's exactly how hidden treasures work. They don't look special at first. They reveal their value only to those who take the time to look closer. Professional grading is very important for coins like this. Experts can determine whether the red color is due to a minting issue or just environmental damage. They can also confirm any additional errors and give the coin an official grade. This adds trust and can greatly increase interest from serious buyers. But beyond the value, there's something else that makes this coin fascinating. It challenges what we expect. A quarter is supposed to look a certain way, and when it doesn't, it forces us to ask why. That curiosity is what drives collectors. This coin also reminds us that even in modern times, when technology is advanced and quality control is strict, mistakes can still happen. And when they do, they create something unique. So the next time you come across a quarter that looks a little different, don't ignore it. Pay attention to the color. Look at the surface. Check the mint mark and the date. Because something as simple as a red shade could be the first clue that you're holding something rare. And remember, the most valuable coins are often the ones that don't look perfect. They stand out in quiet ways, waiting for someone to notice the difference. Next up, 1995 Washington quarter with a small P mint mark. It doesn't shine. In fact, it looks dull, dark, almost black in places. Most people would ignore it without a second thought. But here's where the story changes. Coins like this don't start out looking worn and dark. When this quarter was first made in 1995, it came out of the mint bright and clean, with sharp details and a smooth surface. Over the years, it moved from hand to hand, pocket to pocket, slowly picking up where tiny scratches, and that deep black shade you see now. That color didn't happen overnight. It built up over time, layer by layer, through exposure to air, moisture, and everyday use. And sometimes, that kind of aging hides something important. Take a closer look at the front of the coin. You'll see the familiar face of George Washington. His portrait has been on the quarter for decades, so most people don't even think about it anymore. But when a coin has this kind of dark surface, small details can stand out in unusual ways. Light hits it differently. Shadows fall into the design. Things that were once easy to miss can suddenly become visible. Now imagine turning the coin slowly in your hand. The eagle on the back is still there, wings spread wide, but the darker tone gives it a completely different look. It almost feels older than it really is, like it carries more history than a typical 1995 coin. And that's exactly why coins like this get attention from collectors. You see, during the mid-1990s, the US Mint was producing huge numbers of quarters to keep up with demand. Machines were running fast, and even though the system was advanced, it wasn't perfect. Small mistakes could still slip through. Most people never noticed them because the coins looked normal at a glance. But not all of them were truly normal. Some 1995 quarters came out with tiny flaws, things like slight doubling in the date, a mint mark that wasn't perfectly placed, or faint lines caused by stress in the metal. On a bright, shiny coin, these details can be hard to see. But on a dark, heavily circulated piece like this one, those same features can become easier to spot if you know how to look. Now here's something most people don't realize. That black color you see isn't always a bad thing. In many cases, it's a natural result of oxidation. The metal reacts with its environment over time, especially if the coin has been stored in a humid place or handled often. Instead of destroying the coin, this process can actually protect parts of its surface. And sometimes, it does something even more interesting. It highlights hidden flaws from the moment the coin was made. Collectors pay close attention to this. They look for small clues. Is the mint mark slightly off? Do the numbers in the date look thicker or doubled? Are there faint raised lines running across the surface that shouldn't be there? These are the kinds of details that can turn an ordinary coin into something rare. There are also more noticeable mistakes that can happen. A coin might be struck slightly off-center, leaving part of the design shifted. It might have a die crack, which shows up as a raised line across the surface. In rare cases, there could even be a lamination issue, where the metal starts to peel or separate. Now think about this. Out of the millions of 1995 quarters made, only a tiny number carry these kinds of features. And even fewer survive in a condition where those features can still be seen clearly. That's where the real interest begins. Over the past few years, more collectors have started paying attention to coins from this time period. What used to be considered too modern to matter is now being studied more closely. People are going back through old collections, jars of change, and forgotten coin boxes, looking for pieces that were missed. And coins like this, dark, worn, and unusual, are often the ones that get a second look. Because here's the surprising part. When a 1995 P quarter shows clear minting errors along with a strong, natural black oxidation pattern, it can move far beyond face value. In the right situation, with the right combination of features, these coins have reached values between $200,000 and $350,000 or even more at auction. That kind of number changes everything. Suddenly, that coin in the drawer isn't just spare change anymore. It becomes a possibility. A question. Something worth checking instead of ignoring. Of course, not every dark coin is valuable. That's important to understand. But the only way to know is to look carefully. To slow down and really study what's in front of you. Because the difference between an ordinary coin and a rare one is often just a tiny detail. And those details are easy to miss if you're not paying attention. So the next time you find a quarter that looks old, dark, or different, don't rush past it. Hold it. Turn it under the light. Look at the small things, the date, the mint mark, the surface. Ask yourself if something feels just a little off. Because sometimes, the coins that look the worst are the ones with the best stories. And every once in a while, one of those stories turns into something much bigger than anyone expected.